voice17104.com. This is Zanetta Wingfield, and you're listening to the voice17104.com. The voice17104.com.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Rick's Place here on The Voice 17104. Here with Pastor Chris Thomas.
God bless you, sir.
And you. Topic today. Are you ready for Election Day? Are you ready for Election Day? Fastly approaching. Did you do your homework? Do you know the candidates? Especially the candidate you intend to vote for. Do not give your vote away lightly. That ain't the way we do it. You vote for the candidate of your choice. That's a nice thing. But make sure they're of your choice and not someone else's. No one's mouth is a prayer book. You research them. You look into them. You find out if they're worthy of your votes. That's the key. And when you do your research, find out what have they done in their lives. Follow that now. What have they done in their lives that warrant you to give them your vote? Or have they been community involved? Have they been involved in activity to improve the quality of life of others? Now all of a sudden they want to represent something, represent you. Again, what have they done? What have you done to improve the community? What have you done to improve the neighborhood? What have you done to improve the city? Because there's various offices that they're running for. I am running for re-election to the Harrisburg School. Because I believe that we can do this better. I was the only former school board member that voted for receivership. Because the bleeding had to stop. I know that our children are better than they was projecting them. I knew they were better than that. So whose kids are you talking about? Well, the Harrisburg School District this and the Harrisburg School District that. Yet all the people complaining wasn't doing anything to improve it. Nothing. So I'm really into the naysayers. If you're not willing to put yourself on the line, I don't want to hear from you. Complaining is easy. Doing something about it means sacrifice. Means sacrificing yourself. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to take the criticisms, the admonishments, as well as the accolades? See, they work hand in hand for the betterment and the improvement of the educational experience for the students in the Harrisburg School District. We got some bright kids. We let somebody else tell it, well, they're not so bright. I don't believe that. I've seen these kids do some phenomenal things in math and science. From scratch, I watched them create a shoe, a sneaker type shoe for those that are physically impaired, those that are blind. The sneaker beeped every time it got close to an object. I was impressed. I only seen that on trucks and heavy equipment. These kids created a shoe from scratch using them, what they learned in the STEM program, math and science, technology. But these are students that they say couldn't do nothing like that. I beg to differ. This is the type of world we live in today. These teachers have a challenge, and they're rising to that, to meet that challenge. They're rising to the occasion, and so are our students. It's easy to get out of financial debt, or you get in a financial expert, which we have in Dr. Stokes. We have Dr. Susky that put together a great team. And she keeps improving that team. Ashford School District is out of financial debt. When we had the worst debt probably in the state. It's that. They have been working now on academic excellence, which I believe we can achieve. Putting everyone on the same page. Now, of course, you all know we're still in receivership. But this receivership is working. Did you know what receivership does, folks? It removes all that personal interest, all that, infighting, all of that expiring, I call them expiring actors, those that want to use this position as a school director to bounce to go somewhere else. That's a major problem too. No consistency. If your board, which is the people at the top, excuse me, is constantly changing, what do you think is happening to the people below you? There's no stability. And things are constantly changing because every time you change, you bring in someone else, there's something else going on. And then there's that inner fighting and there's competition. And somewhere along the line, guess who gets lost? The children. Instead of meeting and coming together on one accord and having your objectives and goals being to have these children reach the highest educational achievement possible. Under that whole control by the board, we'll be right back where we are before receivership. I don't want to see that happen. I want checks and balance systems in place, policy, procedures, rules, and regulations that no matter who sits on this board, it will never return, the district will never return to what it once was. Because I remember the time of academic excellence in the Harrisburg School District. And it wasn't too long ago. Then, for whatever reason, be it the leadership at the very top at the time, it went to a downward spiral. I don't want to see that anymore. Because it doesn't have to be. Not today. And that goes for anything else, folks. Before I move into everything else, we have excellent people, thoughtful people, caring people on this board right now. And if you want to maintain that quality of persons or persons to aid in moving this district forward, yes, we're in receivership, but Dr. Susky, unlike Dr. Samuels, allows exchange from the board because she is preparing this board to take control of itself. And there's no doubt that she is assessing and evaluating its ability to govern. And so should you. So, these things are important. Remember that. We have excellent people on that board, and they are consistent. They meet on one accord. There's discussions, and not everyone agrees, but they're willing to do what most politicians in Washington cannot do. Even those on the state level can't seem to do. They come to a consensus, a compromise, which all can live with. And they move the needle forward. Some of y'all use the term ball. Whatever you choose. But it's moved forward for the betterment of the district and for a quality education for our children. That's why I say election time is fastly approaching. Know your candidates you intend to vote for. I don't care if it's for judge. Know something about them. Research. See, judges can't campaign. They can't go out and do debates, and then there's certain things in the election code that they're not allowed to do. But you can research them. They do have a background. I don't care if it's Supreme Court, Superior Court, Commonwealth Court, or the Court of Common Pleas. You can research the candidate. I asked, as the Suffolk County Democratic 103rd legislative leader, long title, ain't it? I ask that you support or endorse candidates for all of those positions. Yeah. There'll be a slate card coming out There are all the endorsed candidates on it. Their candidate bio that the Dauphin County Committee Chair, Ms. Rajette Harris, is posting on the Facebook. I think it appears on the citizens page of each and every endorsed candidate. I ask that you support them, and I ask that you vote for them because they have been vetted. Learn something about them if you know nothing about them and their political views and how it affects you, your neighborhood, your community, your city, your state. Because this is like a rippling effect. What is done at the very top ripples. What's done at the very bottom ripples. It's connected. It's like throwing a pebble in a pond. You ever watch the ripples go out? Well, those ripples disturb everything that it touches. That means it will affect you. That's what makes your vote important. Learn as much as you can. The more astute of you have already done that because you understand how this game is played and the importance of it. We understand that you know that you need to be involved. Talk to your neighbors. Get them out to vote. Talk to your family. Get them out to vote. Talk to your colleagues, your fellow employees. Get them out to vote. Get them involved in the improvement and the betterment of the community, the neighborhood, city, state. It all works hand in hand. Group yourself. And I don't want to hear all the conspiracy theories and all that foolishness from the megas. You know, they're living in the Twilight Zone. I really don't want to hear anything from anybody that try to overthrow the Constitution of the United States. That's not going to happen. I'm not listening to a word you got to say. As far as I'm concerned, you should be in jail. But look at the arrogance. You know what I'm talking about when I say look at the arrogance. Look at Donald Trump. The man that engineered an insurrection. What do you think he's going to do if he get back in there? He already showed you. He got the nerve to want America to give him another bite at the apple. Now you already had a bite at the apple. You was in there. You had the apple. You had the apple in your hand. President of the United States. And engineered an insurrection from you built this house brick by brick. How about if they stole an election, you know you lost. But that explains they didn't do their homework. Well, I can't say not all of them, some of them did. And they told you who he was before you voted for him. Exactly who he was. You vote for him anyway. So why does it surprise you that he did what he did? This entitlement thing took root with him ever since he was probably 2 years old. Because he had a dad named Fred Trump who was a bizarre individual who definitely believed in whole entitlement thing. It just fascinates me. When someone tells you, old saying, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And Donald told you, excuse me, Donald told you every day of that campaign, he told you exactly who he was. He told you every day he was in office exactly who he was. He didn't embrace the free world, European alliance. He embraced people like Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, that maniac from Hungary, dictators, because that's what he wants to be. Those are his buddies. Those are the people he embraced. Put Donald on the shelf. He ain't the only one that believed that way. And then he got the Trumpettes, Harry Lake and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Boebert, the wind-up dolls. Yeah, Chatty Cathy pulled a string, and they say anything he want them to say. And they're not the only ones. That's the scary part. I would say, do your research. Election day is coming. You got some Trumpettes right here. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Yes, you do. And they ain't all white. Well, they're not. Contrary to popular belief, though. Male and female. And now they want to be in office. Wow. Busy. Doing their level best to fraud democracy. Every day they draw breath. We ain't to do this. We ain't gonna do that. Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, the United States House. For those that didn't know that. You know, the guy, it took him 5 days to make Speaker something that should have took place in 15 minutes. 5 days. Why? Because a handful of MAGAs held that up. Do your research, learn the candidates. He just barely passed the debt ceiling with all this pork belly and cuts, and should have been a clean vote with nothing attached to it. That's for negotiations and the budget. And we're going to send it over to the Senate. Dead on arrival. It should be. My input. And check out the programs they want to cut. They affect the poor and the working poor. Oh, that's too much. We don't believe in climate change, so we don't do nothing about climate. We cut that. Busy trying to bring about the destruction of the world. Because all that I just explained to you earlier, the rippling effect. United States democracy, the democratic state in the world. And they're busy trying to fraud democracy here. Well, what do you think that does to the rest of the world? Being arguably the most powerful country in the face of this earth. And I say arguably because there's other powerful countries. I don't think they're very well organized as the United States. I just think we're better at it. Not that they're not organized, so they're not as organized as the United States. But we got people within the United States. I ain't worried about nobody outside of the United States. We have people right here. That's trying to destroy this country. Get in the history books. Read about the Roman Empire. It wasn't a country on earth that could destroy Rome at that time. Rome was destroyed from within. Rivalries, bickering, moaning and groaning about this or that. This is just like today. I knew Rome, as I read on, was going to be destroyed when they split themselves. Became the Eastern Empire and the Western Empire. There can be only one empire. That was the beginning and the end. Fascinating reading Rise and Fall of the Roman. And if you're not into it all, like an audio book. Listen. I don't recommend all those Roman movies because some are accurate, some are just totally inaccurate. They're good entertainment, but you know. They had a series about Rome, and you can almost see it right here, the happenings in the United States. Elections are important, folks. And it's important that you have the right people in office that will preserve the integrity of the United States. It is important that you have people in office that will preserve democracy for all, just for some, for all, and keep that mindset that it must be all inclusive. All the naysayers, bigots, racists, push them to the side. You're not the majority of the people. Preserve the United States at all costs and its democracy. And we do that through fair and honest elections. Somebody's good, we keep them. Somebody's bad, we get rid of them. Through the electoral process. Now, you want to be a Oath Keeper or a Proud Boy or John the Birches or the Ku Klux Klan, or any other extremist group. And you're going to take up arms against the United States, well, you're committing treason. So treason is a supporting charge. Insurrection is wrong. put them together and try them for that. The Lord said the wages of sin is death. Well, committed a sinful act when you commit treason. You start doing that, you'll find out how fast everybody is back in love with the United States. When you start trying for treason and it's convicted, they put to death. We won't have any more of that. Think about that. Election time. Vote for the candidate of your choice, but make sure you do your research. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you. Come on back next week and we'll talk again.